Modern Warfare Zombies has just been revealed, and most people aren't impressed. It looks like a mix between DMZ and zombies, with no real resemblance to traditional zombies. So with that in mind, why am I excited for Modern Warfare Zombies? All of these questions and more here on the 4th episode of the Mystery Box Podcast. Good morning, you beautiful people. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day today. Welcome to another episode of the Mystery Box Podcast. Today we are talking anything and everything Modern Warfare Zombies. And boy oh boy, is there a lot to say about Modern Warfare Zombies. There's a lot of things that people have said about Modern Warfare Zombies already. First things first, if you haven't already seen basically everybody's video on what Modern Warfare Zombies looks like it's gonna be, check out this video in the icon above. It'll show you and tell you everything there is to know about Modern Warfare Zombies that we know so far. But basically it looks like a mix between Outbreak, DMZ, and zombies. But what everybody is focusing on, of course, is the fact that it is not round-based zombies, and for some reason I am very happy about that. This is not zombies. The more I think about this, the more that we discuss this, the more I realize that this is not traditional zombies, and that is actually a good thing. From a certain point of view, it's a good thing. Obviously, I think if we all had it our way, if Treyarch had it their way, they would love to produce Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 level maps of round-based zombie experiences every single year for us, but unfortunately, that's not how the world works. Good content like those maps take a whole lot of time, years and years of development, creativity, testing, collaboration between artists and voiceover artists and map layouts and all of these things that go into a round-based map. They take so much time that it takes years and years of that time in order to create those round-based products. So I'm happy that Treyarch is putting that on the back burner for this year, and hopefully they're getting all that round-based goodness for 2024. That's the kind of boat that I'm sitting in right now. I might completely regret that come 2024, but as of right now, this if I were Treyarch and I were saving all my best round-based content for 2024, this is exactly the stuff that I would be doing. So it makes sense to me that, hey, they're holding off on the round-based content in order to produce this kind of bare minimum content. But also the fact that this is not their game, this is not Treyarch's title, this is Sledgehammer's title in combination with Infinity Ward for the campaign and multiplayer, and then Treyarch for zombies. It's a little weird, but it's not Treyarch's title, so why would they bring up the main course for a game that's not even their own game? I mean, they already kind of did that with Cold War, but you get my point. I don't expect round-based content from a non-Treyarch game, unless that developer's leading it, and that developer's been working on it, and clearly there's some shenanigans going on with Sledgehammer for the past, half a decade. Who knows what they're doing since World War II, those poor guys. Vanguard was weird. This is a weird situation for them, but it doesn't seem like they've got a good schedule on their plates as it is. That being said, a lot of people are rightfully skeptical because this is kind of the same situation that Vanguard Zombies was in. Sledgehammer's game, it's a non-traditional zombies mode developed by Treyarch in lieu of their own experience. So of course, red flags are flying up, as they should be. This is not an ideal situation. This is not Treyarch's game. It's not a round-based mode. So yeah, people are skeptical this is going to be another Vanguard. However, I would be willing to bet, I would hope that this is not Vanguard. And there's some logic and reasoning behind why I think so. I could be way off basis. We don't know more than 3 sentences about this game, so this is all speculation, so I apologize if I'm way off the mark here, but let me run you through my thoughts here. Vanguard Zombies really had no basis for their core gameplay. All it was multiplayer maps and specific objectives like Outbreak. Honestly, that would have been Outbreak 2.0, to be completely honest. Smaller maps, a faster pace, but all it is completing an objective, going to the next round, completing an objective, going to next round. DMZ, on the other hand, that I hypothesize they're using as the base for this new zombie mode, DMZ has a ton of depth and replayability and just core gameplay that Vanguard Zombies never reached. We've heard some things from both content creators and Call of Duty official outlets themselves that there is going to be some sort of faction missions or completing missions and contracts in-game. That sounds a lot like the faction missions and contracts inside of DMZ. And when it's on that big Warzone type map, that is incredible. Because go back to Vanguard Zombies, unfortunately. You play one game of Vanguard Zombies and you play all of the maps that you can and you complete all the objectives that you can. And you've basically experienced everything that game has to offer. It was bare bones to the T. It was horrible. You played it once, you experienced every map, every mode that you can. DMZ because the map is so big. The map in and of itself, to explore the map, is going to take multiple runs. I've played DMZ a good handful of times, and I haven't explored all of the map in depth as I want to. So that's one bit of replayability more than Vanguard. Then you add in those in-game missions and those in-game contracts where you get to do this, and I forget exactly what they are in DMZ, like the prisoner rescue one, the decontamination, like nuclear material waste one. There's a whole bunch of other things that you can do within DMZ. Within the map itself, there's already so many like side quests part of DMZ that keeps adding that to that replayability. Then you add in the extraction shooter elements, and oh my goodness, that's crazy. DMZ has come a long way. If you haven't tried it, haven't gotten into it since the release of it, there's all these types of different equipment and vests and collectibles that you can do. There's documents and Easter eggs and secrets and little locations and little tricks that you can do in order to unlock this or get better loot here. And there's just a lot more dynamic events going on within the game of DMZ that it's naturally like 1,000 times better than what we got with Vanguard. Vanguard didn't have a Pack-a-Punch camo. It didn't have any side quests. It didn't have really anything. Did it even have little radio quotes? I think it might have, but that's about it. So DMZ is already leaps and bounds above what Vanguard Zombies was. So I'm not worried about at least the formula of content. Whether or not they're going to transition all of that to zombies, I don't know. But at least conceptually, they should have a lot more replayability and breadth of content than we have seen in Vanguard Zombies. And that's not even including the menu in or out of game external progression that you can have with the faction missions. Yes, factions are finally going to be in Zombies. At least it sounds like they're finally going to be in Zombies. Like DMZ, you have faction missions, which tells you to do specific things within your game of DMZ. And I hope that's something that we get here with Modern Warfare Zombies. That'd be really cool, like killing 3 mimics in this area, collecting this much Ethereum from this area, or collecting this perk from that area, and doing this with that. Like those sorts of things and ranking up those, they add not only just gameplay benefits of them being just like fun, but also, I don't know if you know this, but if you complete those missions in DMZ, you actually get external rewards, contraband weapons, and double weapon XP tokens, and all of these other things that you can do. And I think that's just a great little fun thing to incentivize players to just do this fun little side thing. It's just that foundation. If they literally just took DMZ, added some zombies, and changed up those missions to make them zombie missions, I think that would be a pretty fun game mode. Now, Replay Mode, if you haven't looked at Replay Mode, he's a great up-and-coming YouTuber, super fun to watch. He and I were discussing on a live stream one day. I was in chat and we were discussing this whole DMZ with zombies thing. And this was before the reveal. And we said, you know, if Modern Warfare Zombies was just DMZ with zombies, we would think we would enjoy it more than DMZ. But we don't think we'd enjoy it more than Outbreak. And I still feel that way. I still feel like this will not scratch that zombies itch. This is still kind of left field. It's kind of out of nowhere, where yes, it might be better than DMZ in certain situations for certain people, but it's probably not going to be a core pillar of the zombie community. Maybe. Who knows? But it sounds like this has a better chance of being successful with zombies and the zombie community than Vanguard Zombies ever did. And that brings up the next question, and I think this is a very valid question, and something that I've seen going around a lot here. Mr. T Lexify, one of his first videos on this, he had a really good question, and he and I don't always agree on everything on how we think about zombies, but this is a really good question that I kind of agreed at the time with, and that question is, who is this for? Like what game or what audience is going to enjoy this gameplay? And I think that's a very, very fair question for the developers. And that's a very tough question that they're going to need to figure out who to market this game to. Because when you think about zombies, you think about really the core gameplay, progressing through, starting with nothing, and that progression to getting a whole bunch of stuff, getting all geared out and kitted out for the game Zombies, and then completing Easter eggs and high rounds and side quests and all these things. And this doesn't seem like that. This seems like DMZ with zombies. And so then you have the DMZ players over here, and the DMZ players are really split. I don't know if you guys are familiar with DMZ, but there's a huge split, it sounds like, in the community of people who really love PvP and really love that aspect of the game mode. That's the whole, it's the glue that holds DMZ together. It's part of the risk reward of going into DMZ. You don't know if it's a bot or a real player, and it adds that little flavor of thrilling action and fun adventure. But then there's the other half, and I'm part of that other half, which just, I hate PvP. I don't understand PvP. Everything I scavenged on the map is in the map. Why can't you just go get it for yourself? I don't understand why PvP is a thing. And so when marketing this, you're really targeting a small specific group of people who like who like DMZ, don't like PvP, but also kind of like zombies. That's a very specific, tiny little group of people that may like this game mode. So they're going to have to come up with some great examples, show off some really good gameplay in order to convince players to actually enjoy this mode and buy this mode. But all of that being said, all those questions, who's this for? It's not for zombies. There's no audience for this. You could say those exact same things for Nocturne and Toten when it was first released in World at War. I mean, Call of Duty was a campaign multiplayer, serious, grounded, down to earth. Hey, this is a very serious game. It's about fighting in wars and stuff. And then you got in Zombies, even Treyarch, the people who originally created it, were like, "Ooh, is this too far out for a World War II shooter?" And then it was a big hit because, it was just this really lightning in a bottle type thing. And it's interesting because there wasn't an audience for it back then, and you don't need an audience for something in order for something to be successful. As we've seen with Call of Duty Zombies, the audience was born because the game was created. There is still a chance that this game mode could be the next best thing since sliced bread. This could be the next, DMZ, there wasn't an audience for DMZ until DMZ was released, and what do you know? There was an audience for DMZ. And so when we ask those questions, who is this for? There's no audience for this yet. Why did they make this in the first place? It's almost like sometimes I feel like as us beautiful people in the zombies community or any passionate community on YouTube, we're a little bit too close to the thing that we love. We're a little bit too close to the game or whatever that we say, hey, it has to be this, it has to fit within my certain parameters for this box, and anything outside of it, I'm gonna close my ears to and go, nope, that's not what I love, that's not why I like it, I'm not gonna play it, I'm not gonna buy it. It's a little bit closed-minded, so I really hope that these questions of who's this for, and there's not an audience for this, and well, it's just this but that, my hope is that the gameplay itself proves us wrong. The gameplay itself shows a reason for being created, because when you play Vanguard, it didn't feel like there was a purpose behind Vanguard. It felt like somebody made Vanguard to make Vanguard zombies. It felt like we have to have zombies in here, so let's create a bare minimum product that has zombies in it technically, and you kill zombies, but really there is no higher purpose for the mode, and that's really, really hard to explain. And with zombies, you have so many different success states, as you'll see in the different podcasts. But high rounds, Easter eggs, side quest, all of those things are reasons players play the game. Why would somebody play Vanguard? For high rounds, I guess, to complete. There's no side quests, there's no Easter eggs. I mean, there is technically an Easter egg, but it's not super in-depth, so you have to have that purpose within the gameplay itself. And I feel like Vanguard didn't have that purpose within the gameplay itself to keep playing and keep going. It had some zombie flavor in there, but not as potent and engaging and fun as it had been in the past. So I hope the core gameplay loop of Modern Warfare Zombies proves us wrong. I hope we jump into this and go, oh my goodness, this works on some level. I get what they're trying to do with this. I hope it is that DMZ type extraction. You get rich, you go back in, you complete this Easter egg, you do this thing. I really want that to happen because that's what we didn't have in Vanguard. And there's potential for it. It's kind of funny. I saw this comment on one of my videos and I guess they were complaining about how Modern Warfare Zombies is just taking multiplayer assets and then just repurposing them for a zombie mode. And I was like, well, let me tell you about Nocturne, Toten, and Verrucht, and Derice. Like, those are all just multiplayer maps flipped for zombies. Like, that's like what Zombies does, like, all the time. So, I mean, I know Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, they have more unique assets, and that's kind of the best part about Zombies, but it's just kind of silly sometimes how we can get too, like, in our heads and overthink these things about what really matters in terms of a new Zombies experience. Even I can do it sometimes. I'm not saying I'm perfect or whatever, but it's just a funny little thing where it's like, no, that's exactly what Nocturne Toten was, a brand new game mode using reused assets. It was a very low effort product, but it was a really genius idea with a good gameplay. Now, Vanguard wasn't that, in my opinion, but hopefully there is some chance that DMZ Zombies, Modern Warfare Zombies, could really do that. And maybe I'm so hopeful here, maybe I'm so optimistic because I just really want to like DMZ. I really do. I really want to like DMZ. The more I think about it, the more I look into it, the more videos I watch, the more I play it, the more I want to like it because it just seems like a really chill, fun mode where you can gain up all these resources and have a good time and go in strong, and like there's some progression there with some challenges, and that's just really cool. I really like that. But as I said, the PvP is just too obstructive to my enjoyment. You know, I find it really weird. I've said it before in multiple videos. I said it earlier. I don't understand the gameplay purpose behind PvP other than adding like tension, I guess, because in theory, you go in naked, you go in with nothing, you gain all of your resources within the map itself, and then someone else within the same map kills you for the resources that you got within the map that they were just in. You know, I get maybe players have better loot than other things, but it's like, can't you just find like an orange crate somewhere else? Like there's a ton of them within the map. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a bad, I'm not good at Warzone, so maybe that's why I have a chip on my shoulder against PvP, because it's just, I don't know, but I don't get it. And just the mere fact that there's no PvP here, and the fact that there is like zombie AI might just be enough for my little monkey brain to go, hey, this might be good. This might be fun. I might actually like this. So I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic about it. I'm not saying that this is going to be the next best zombie mode, but I'm interested in playing it. I'm intrigued. I'm interested to see what they have to offer and how they go about it. I think the next biggest worry that people have in their brains, something that I see a lot of people clown on this mode for, is the 60-minute time limit. And I think that is a great explanation or a great example of how people don't really understand what this game mode is going to be. And I think that's on Treyarch and Activision, on all those marketing guys, to really explain and showcase, hey, the 60-minute time period thing, this isn't like traditional zombies. This is a completely different game mode with a completely different gameplay loop that 60 minutes plays into a little bit more reasonably than you might think. I said it in my video. It's not like you'll be playing like D Machine or any other round-based map and then all of a sudden, 1 hour, your game's done. No, there's a progression within the map itself that actually pushes the player to making these certain different decisions within the game map itself. That's exactly what DMZ is. DMZ, I believe you have 30 minutes, and at the end of that 30 minutes, the circle closes in. There's one final extract, and there's a whole big, you can fight PvP there. You have all this different stuff you're fighting, and it's kind of more cinematic, and so it really makes sense within the context of DMZ. At first, when I heard it 60-minute time limit, I thought the same as everything else. Oh my goodness, this is terrible. Why would they do this? But then I realized, hey, this is not zombies. This is not traditional zombies. This is something completely different. We have to understand the base gameplay before we make judgments on this 60-minute time period. And even if it turns out this 60-minute time period isn't enough, I'm almost positive that number can be changed. I'm almost positive they can make it 90 minutes or 120 minutes or something if people really like just that core gameplay within the map itself. But I think the way that they're talking about it so secretively now, especially with the 3-act thing, I don't quite understand how they say there's 3 separate acts to this thing. That sounds very different from DMZ. So there's still, I believe, a missing component to this game mode that we don't quite understand, which is why I'm kind of talking vague here. I'm kind of talking like gameplay progression and core gameplay loop sort of thing that Treyarch is really going to need to articulate very well and sell to the zombies community in order to make it really engaging. There are elements of this idea that I can already picture being kind of fun, and I was playing Outbreak for my Outbreak walkthrough the other day, and just coming upon an Orda encounter in Outbreak with that, those multiplayer maps, it just roaming in the distance and the screen shaking, and then you're interacting with it and you're shooting it and killing it and it's spawning zombies. That is such a cool spectacle. That's such a cool moment, emotional moment for the player to just be happening and stumbling across that moment in Outbreak, even on a multiplayer map that's not fit for zombies, all that stuff. That's such a cool moment that if we had that in this Modern Warfare engine, in this Warzone type map where you can, get on a helicopter and start shooting down at an Order, and then it starts spitting those things at you and throwing zombies at you and throwing dogs at you. I know Call of Duty has said on some social media that you're fighting like the biggest enemies ever in Call of Duty, and the biggest enemy I can think of is Orda and Legion. So if we had those 2 enemies, those 2 bosses in this Modern Warfare engine, by the way, which looks absolutely beautiful, that would be pretty cool. That would almost be worth it, no matter sort of the gameplay loop behind it. But also what they've been saying, and this is one of those marketing terms that you got to be really careful with, is that we're going to be fighting hordes of zombies. Now, what a horde means to the zombie community is a horde is 24 zombies, because that's the terms that we speak in per round. Like every round, at least in classic zombies, I think Cold War actually changed to this. Michael does stuff, you can help me out here. But in traditional zombies, Black Ops 4 and before, 24 zombies per round is one horde. That's all that could spawn in and at a time. So that's what a horde of zombies means to me. A horde of zombies in Outbreak was like 8 or like 10 at the most. Like there wasn't a lot of zombies in Outbreak, and that was a huge criticism from a multitude of different people, myself included, with Outbreak, was that there was just not enough action, not enough hordes of zombies. Now, I don't know how they're going to fix this because the map is so flippin' huge. Like that map is absolutely enormous. I think the Modern Warfare engine handles it differently than Treyarch's engine. It seems to be a lot more advanced than what we got in Cold War. But even still, the amount of AI on the map is a lot. But Zombies needs a lot more play or a lot more enemies in the map itself. Like when I'm thinking of my DMZ sessions, there might be like 8 to 10 human AI bots within DMZ that creates an overwhelming feeling. But if there's just that 8 to 10 zombies instead of those 8 to 10 human AI, that doesn't feel like hordes of zombies to me. You know, you need twice or triple the amount of those enemies in order to make me feel like, oh my goodness, this is a huge zombie apocalypse. Now, can they do that with such a big map? I'm not so sure, especially considering they are still having some human AI bots. Same with Strongholds, and they said there's 3 tiers of human AI. I'm sure that's just the base enemy player, and then there's the armored enemy, and then the boss enemies, which are your juggernauts and all of your other stuff. I'm sure that's the 3 tiers of whatever. But we'll talk about that later, because we're going to talk about what I'm worried about, and that's one of the things I'm worried about here. But something else that I'm excited about is the map itself. I love the Warzone maps. I really do. I love how real they feel. I love how naturally they flow. This is going to be controversial opinion. I do not like the map layout of Blackout, nor do I like the, whatever you call them, the battle maps from Cold War. What did you call them? Those like Team Dirty Bomb maps, like whatever they are. I thought in Outbreak too, they are so open and so bare bones. Every single map felt like there was like 3 or 4 buildings or like half a dozen buildings. That was the main focus of the map. And then everything else of the map was just an open field, and which is like a shed out here and like one building out here. And it just felt so barren and open. Looking at all the maps, they all felt like they followed that same formula. Zoo was like the zoo and then an open field. Collateral was like, here's the main complex, and then a main open field with rocks and sand. And it felt that way. Ruka was just that main military base, and then a whole bunch of open field and grass and trees and stuff. So I love Verdansk. I loved, what do you call it? The one we have now, Al-Mazrah. Like they're just so dense with so many buildings and so many different unique lines of sight and atmospheres and biomes and different ways of interacting with the map itself. I love that. But I'm also worried that might not be really good for zombies. But I'm getting too ahead of myself here. I'm looking forward to how dense this map is going to be. It's going to feel like it has a lot more replayability and a lot more reason to explore it than all of the Outbreak maps. Like just being around in Al-Mazrah or Ashika Island is just so much more engaging to me than anything in Outbreak was. So that was my point in that. But something else I'm really excited for is actually the 24 players, which is very, very weird. I'm a solo guy. I think Zombies is best solo, but I'm really excited for all of these different pairs of players because this is like DMZ. There's a whole bunch of different players, but now when you stumble across a different team, it's no longer this anxious, oh my goodness, are they going to kill me? Or, you know, it's this fun collaborative thing. Oh my goodness, you're doing this mission. Let me help you out here. Hey, there's this Orda chasing you. Let me kill this Orda for you right here. Or this Mimic's giving you trouble. Let me kind of help you, give you backup. Your team's squad wiped. Let me go help you pick them back up. Whether or not people are going to do that, you know, Zombies isn't always known for its collaborative, cooperative play, especially in public matches. But I think within this context, that could be really good content. That could be really good experiences with other players. And I think something that most of us can agree on that we might be looking forward to is having another zombie mode within this Modern Warfare engine. Say what you will about Vanguard Zombies, seeing how beautiful that mode was, how the art direction and art style of Vanguard was so beautifully rendered in that engine. Amazing. The zombies looked beautiful. The enemies looked beautiful. And looking at this teaser image, that Mimic is absolutely gorgeous. I've been staring at mimics since Cold War, and yes, they look good, they look creepy, but this looks so much different. This almost looks like a World War II enemy, or World War II zombies enemy, where it's just so like a mutilated body and bones are its teeth. And like, I always knew the teeth were bones and stuff, but like you really feel it here with this engine. It looks beautiful. And the zombies also look really, really beautiful here. So I'm excited to see. I've heard the Abomination is the other boss zombie in this mode, and I'm really excited to see what these things look like in game in this absolutely gorgeous engine. Which also brings up an interesting point. Looking at this picture, it looks really good, and when playing DMZ, it's a really immersive experience, in my opinion. Warzone and DMZ, and really the Modern Warfare, the new Modern Warfare trilogy is really all about immersion and getting you in the game and tactical and this and that. So, does that mean the health bars are not coming back? Because could you imagine playing DMZ and there's just health bars above all of the bots and all of the enemies? And, you know, long distance in that Warzone map, are you going to see a health bar over there? Because I can't remember. You did get health bars in Outbreak, but could you see it with a sniper rifle? I thought you could. But I feel like that would just really ruin the immersion, and it would ruin the atmosphere of this DMZ type immersive experience. So I don't know. I'm sure if there's like a boss zombie, there might be a boss health, but who knows? I don't know. It's a question that I had, and I don't know. Would you want to see health bars come back? I would like to see an option to turn them off, because I really, the more I play Cold War Zombies, the more I play Vanguard Zombies, the more I'm not really into health bars, the more I don't really like it. I like the satisfying feel you get when you shoot a zombie and then their health bar depletes, but that almost feels cheap. It almost feels like a cheap manipulation tactic to get players like, oh man, this feels really fun, as opposed to just creating a really good art design and really have those heads explode and really get those hit marker sounds in. I'd rather have that than have health bars. But don't get me wrong, it is not all sunshine and rainbows here at the Donut channel, because I am also very worried about this mode as well. I have a lot of similar complaints and worries about this mode than many of you beautiful people probably have. First and foremost, the human AI bots. I am not looking forward to. This does not sound like a good idea by any stretch of the imagination. I've discussed this on a different podcast, but Call of Duty Zombies is fundamentally a different game than any other mode in Call of Duty. In a campaign, in a multiplayer, in a Warzone, even DMZ setting, when you're shooting enemies that are shooting back at you, there are core fundamental mechanics that you're taking advantage of and playing with in order to be successful. You're taking cover, you're reloading at the right times, you're healing at the right times, and your aim is good. You're going for the head or whatever weak points there are. You're plating in the right time behind cover and running the right routes to take cover and all that stuff. But with zombies, it's completely different. You don't care about aiming. I mean, you sort of still want to aim at their head because it is their weak point, but it's not as harsh and twitchy as a shooter would be. Zombies is all about movement. It's all about spacing within the map layout itself. And so Treyarch has said and told YouTubers that this is a hard mode. This is a difficult challenge. And I'm worried that this challenge comes with blending zombie gameplay with regular multiplayer first-person shooter gameplay. That does not sound fun. It's almost like a Shaolin Shuffle, not a Shaolin Shuffle, a Beast from Beyond type of challenge where you have the ninja zombies spawning in front of you whenever you sprint, but then having the cryptids that you need to sprint away from. So I could see very much in this Modern Warfare Zombies training your zombies, and then all of a sudden randomly there's a car or a helicopter that drops off the human AI bots and they just shoot at you and you can't take cover because you've got a horde of zombies right here, and so you die or you get hit by a zombie and then they shoot you and oh my goodness, what could I have done? Or if you're in the middle of fighting with one of those human AI bots and you're taking cover, you're reloading, and then like two zombies come over to your direction and just corner you or hit you once because you were already hurt and wounded by the shooter over there, human AI element. It's just, it doesn't mesh well together. Ever since the beginning of Zombies players have never enjoyed being shot at in a zombie mode, and I think that is the #1 reason I am most nervous about this whole entire experience. By extension of that, I am very worried about the single player balance. I'm assuming that you can solo queue in this mode. Even though there's 6 teams of 4 players, I'm assuming you can do what you can do now in Warzone and DMZ, and you can turn off squad autofill, which means you're going to go in alone. by DMZ standards, that's perfectly fine. Exploring the map, doing things by yourself, I'm sure that'll be perfectly fine. But they said that in that third act or whatever, there's a smaller type of arena that you and only your squad can spawn into. I imagine this is going to be like the Kashi Complex and Building 21, but I'm worried that that is, first of all, that's going to be really hard because it's going to be really tight, close quarters, which is bad for zombies, or difficult for zombies, I guess I should say. But also I'm worried about the human and zombie AI kind of intertwining there. But also, most importantly, if you're going in solo, are the enemies going to be balanced for solo players? Is that going to make quad players too easy? Is it going to make the gameplay too easy for squads of 4? Or is it going to be really hard for these solo players? Because I imagine what a lot of people are going to do is turn off that autofill and just, no, I want to play my own way. I want to go in my own direction. And even if you have to go in with the squad of 4, I imagine they're going to just say, peace, see ya. I'm going to go into this side of the map because I don't want to play in a squad of 4. I just want to complete my missions and complete my quests and do my storyline stuff and get my gear and then exfil. So I'm really anxious and nervous about how they're going to handle solo players. And you might be wondering, well, why wouldn't they just create a mode where you could just go in solo by default, where you don't even need the other 23 players? Well, help me if technical people, if I'm wrong or off base about this. I imagine that's the case because they don't want to dedicate, I think that when you come up with your own like private match, private game, that takes up a whole bunch of server space on their servers. And the map itself of all of these Warzone maps are so big and take so much memory or RAM or whatever it is technically on their servers that they have to group people together. They can't have everybody have their own instance of this map in real time on their servers. Either they don't have enough servers, or their servers aren't powerful enough for that, whatever the case may be. I also have that suspicion that's why they're shutting down the original Warzone. I think there's too many Warzone maps on their servers that they're willing to pay for. That's just my guess. I don't know. I could be way off about that, but that very much worries me that we can't have a true solo experience this year for zombies. But I don't know. It depends on how they balance it, to be honest. And my last concern is just a concern for the overall gameplay. Like I said, it still feels like they're holding back some key details of what this gameplay is going to be like. That could be a really good thing, and it could sound really fun and sound like this really cool, innovative mode that's really interesting and intriguing. Or it could be really boring and flat and surface level, kind of like Vanguard Zombies. And overall, kind of like I was talking about this earlier with the maps, the Warzone maps feel very condensed and feel very tactical. And the new Modern Warfare trilogy really is all about feeling tactical and grounded and realistic in a certain way. And that's not really the tone of Zombies. Zombies is more adventurous and more bombastic than what we've seen here in this Modern Warfare trilogy. Imagine the DMZ map or the Warzone map right now. There's those corridors and those doors and buildings are so close quartered. It's going to be really hard to traverse those doors and buildings and all of that stuff, rooftops, with hordes of zombies. They could go the Outbreak route where there's like one zombie in a room, but in my opinion, that's really not interesting gameplay. That's not intriguing or engaging to me, having one zombie in a room. I like the hordes of zombies. I like training around zombies. And in this condensed city, I don't know how much of that is going to take place. It's really hard for me to describe, unfortunately, but it's just the moment-to-moment gameplay that I'm worried about. I like the concepts. I love the concept of faction missions. I love the concepts of contracts and in-game stuff and doing this in exfilling and the whole extraction shooter type thing. I think there's a super cool potential for zombies here. Yeah, when DMZ first released, I actually had a basic layout of a script for a video being written out of, hey, this could be zombies. You could extract perks and extract weapons and get pack-a-punched weapons, and then I don't know if I went as far as to say this, but I knew it was an option. You could even have it be on a timer if you're using the big Warzone map. I know this is kind of crazy to say that I did, and there's no proof of it, but sort of like Outbreak Collapse. Outbreak Collapse got harder every like 2 minutes, I think. The world difficulty went up every 2 minutes in Outbreak Collapse. And so I said, you can have something similar to that in Warzone type zombies mode, where every, I guess, 10 minutes or so, the world gets increasingly harder because you're looting, you're gaining more points and getting more pack-a-punch and perks and all this stuff. And as the longer you're on the map, the harder it gets. But then you can exfil and have all of that stuff ready to go, start again, and then go do your side quests, go do your Easter eggs and all of this stuff. And I don't know, I'm excited for that concept. I just really hope the core gameplay is engaging enough and fun enough to sustain that idea. And so that brings us to one of the most interesting questions here. What does this mode need to be successful for you? For me, there's just a couple different check marks. I am not expecting much. As I said at the beginning of this video, I don't expect zombies from non-Treyarch games. I'm happy that it's not round-based because I hope that Treyarch are putting all of the really cool, awesome Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4 traditional round-based maps with a set crew and all of this fancy Easter eggs and difficulties in their 2024 game. I really hope that's the case. If not, I'm gonna look like such an idiot, but I'm hoping that's the case. That's why I'm excited that they're kind of doing the bare minimum here for Vanguard and, Modern Warfare Zombies now. But what does this mode need? And this is a good question for you. Think about it yourself. What could this mode do in order to get you to enjoy it? Forgetting that it's round-based, forgetting that it's not traditional zombies, what within the parameters of what we've already heard, the 60-minute time period, the extraction-based shooter thing, what within that gameplay loop is going to make this mode successful for you and for the community as a whole? I think the obvious one for me, it needs to have a good core gameplay loop. Lots of zombies, lots of fun replayability, interacting with the world has to be fun. And that replayability is another big part of that. Now, I'm hopeful that with the faction missions and contracts and Warzone map, you have that replayability like we have in DMZ, but those are the two main things that I'm going to need in order for it to be successful. But also, we're going to need, being a part of the zombies community, we are going to need a big Easter egg, a big flashy Easter egg. And this is something I think is pretty feasible. I think this is very, very reasonable to ask us because in other Warzone experiences, I believe in the original Warzone in Verdansk, there is a whole big Easter egg quest with telephones and launch codes and stuff that let players launch nukes or get a nuke or get kill streaks or get whatever. Like, that's also sort of embedded within the DMZ Warzone DNA as well. These fun little side quests and Easter eggs. And maybe you need to pair up with all of the other players on your map to say, hey, flip this switch, then go over here, flip that switch, then get this code, and then do this thing. And oh my goodness, we get this big boss fight. Like, that sort of thing would be really, really dope. But the more I think about this, the less I really have going into this mode with expectations. I think having good Easter eggs, a good core gameplay would be enough. But also there's just like little details like there better be a Pack-a-Punch camo. And that's a scary thing to say. It's a make or break thing because a Pack-a-Punch camo is so basic. But because we didn't get one in Vanguard Zombies, that means so much to the zombies community. It's a little silly, but it's one of those little things where it's like, people are really going to get upset because there's no Pack-a-Punch camo. But to that I say, if it's just a Pack-a-Punch camo, are you really going to let people get upset about it? Are you really going to, not include one because you just don't want to or something? Like, those sorts of things need to be in this mode. If you're going to have, and that's kind of my big, opinion here, if you're going to have perks, if you're going to have Pack-a-Punch, if you're going to have zombies, make it worth it. Make it have a purpose. Don't just throw it in there to say, hey, we have Juggernog. It doesn't really do anything, or it doesn't really make that big of an impact on your gameplay, but we have it. Make it have a purpose. Make it be impactful that we have these perks and maybe field upgrades and Pack-a-Punch and whatever camos there are. I would love to see a musical Easter egg by finding 3, whatever, music discs or teddy bears or whatever. I would love to see a musical Easter egg. This mode doesn't need to do all that much, at least for me, in order to be this amazing thing. Like, they said this is canon to the story, but like, I am not expecting anything more than just Warzone level cutscenes where it's just like this really 2-minute introduction to this season. Okay, then we play the season, and then at the end of the season we have an ending cutscene. Maybe we do an Easter egg for the end of that cutscene, and we all have to work together for it. And then we have this little bit of information. And then maybe, because this is 2023, at the end of season 6 of this Modern Warfare Zombies, it crescendos into a big flashback or big inciting event for what goes on in 2024 post Cold War Zombies, and that's kind of like a big little ramp up to what we get there. There's not much. We don't need, like, I don't need this mode to just be, oh my goodness, Richthofen's at it again with his grand scheme and he's blowing up the moon. Like, it doesn't need to be that. I think some people, it needs to be that. I think some people, you need to have round-based experiences. You need to have this big bombastic story like we had back in the... But like I said, I don't expect that because I know this is not Treyarch's baby. I know this is not Treyarch's main course. Another controversial opinion here in that same mindset where I don't want it to be all that much. I really hope that Treyarch sticks to their guns and does not release a round-based experience. I feel really bad that Vanguard released round-based experiences. Don't get me wrong, Shinonuma, best version of Shinonuma ever, But really, who's playing the Archon right now? Who's sitting here going, oh my goodness, Vanguard Zombies is so great because the Archon is so underrated. I'm pretty sure people are going to come up with that hot take here eventually just because COD cycle and all that. But nobody's playing the Archon right now. The Archon's fine. It's not a bad map. It's just kind of there. But I don't want Treyarch to waste their time on resources for a scrapped together round-based experience. I had another commenter say, hey, why can't they just throw together a Call of the Dead-like experience? And I don't think this community, unfortunately, I don't think this community truly realizes how special round-based is, how much time goes into a round-based experience with all of the writing and narrative and characters and environment, and there's so much that they can't just throw together a round-based map. Like, if they do, we get something like the Archon, and the Archon isn't anything special. I mean, the boss fight's pretty cool and I love where it's at, but it doesn't drive the mode further. It's not innovative enough and it's not big enough for the zombie community to be satisfied, I guess. So I hope they're cutting their losses here and we don't bully them. I hope the community doesn't pester them and bully them like we did in Vanguard Zombies and forcing their hand to create a round-based experience that's thrown together last minute. That's what I don't want to happen. If there's an onslaught type mode with all the multiplayer maps, if that's easy to do, I mean, I think that would be pretty fun. I think that'd be pretty awesome, but I'm not going to force their hand and just tug on their sleeve like I'm a child, like, hey, can we have this? Hey, can we have this? Like, I don't want to do that. This is a weird metaphor, so hear me out here. It's like the community wants to have a cheeseburger for dinner. We want a cheeseburger. We want to have it. We love the meat, the lettuce, the cheese, but Treyarch says, hey, here's a taco. And we're like, hey, that has meat, cheese, lettuce in it, but that's not a cheeseburger. I want a cheeseburger. And they're like, well, we have a taco, so you're having a taco. And we're like, no, we want a cheeseburger. And then they just take the taco and they put it in a hamburger bun and they go, fine, here's your hamburger. It's like, that's not the hamburger I want. I want a real hamburger. It's a weird metaphor. I thought of it. I don't know. Does it work? Kind of. As weird as this is, that's such a weird metaphor. I'm so sorry, beautiful people. But I think these couple years of zombies, Cold War, Vanguard, and now Modern Warfare Zombies, how we think about this era of zombies is going to be hugely impacted by how good or bad 2024 Zombies is. If Zombies in 2024 is this return to form round-based content like Ancient Evil and Der Eisendrache and Shadows of Evil, and it's this atmospheric with a set crew and Easter eggs and difficulty settings and side modes and all of this stuff that's everything we've been asking for, then I think the community will be quick to forgive all of these years of kind of stale and thrown together product. If 2024 isn't that, if 2024 isn't good and it doesn't do what the community wants it to do, I think then I will certainly be confused on Vanguard Zombies and Modern Warfare Zombies being really shallow experiences, but that's not a reality I want to live in. So I really hope that the reason we're getting, I just picked up my pen for no reason. I'm so stressed thinking about that. I hope the reason we're seeing these kind of bare minimum products is because Treyarch is saving their creativity and saving their big, huge A-team for 2024 Zombies. I say that because when I first saw the image of the Mimic, I went, crap, why the Mimic? Why not anything new? And then I thought, no, wait, this might actually be really good. I was thinking that Modern Warfare Zombies would inform us about 2024 Zombies, how the pack punch worked, how the perks worked, and all of this sort of stuff. And it almost seems like Treyarch is being way more secretive, saying, hey, we're going to give you the Abomination, we're going to give you the Mimic in this mode, and we're going to save all of our creative ideas for the next game. And we're not going to give you anything new until this next game. And this next game is going to really knock your socks off. And that's might be copium. It might be copium. It might be me just so desperate for hope that I'm latching onto this idea, but it also makes sense. It also makes logical sense. It's exactly what I would do if I were in Treyarch's position. If I was strapped for time, I knew I had a huge, big, exciting release in 2024 coming up, I would not let anything out of that, and I would just reuse all of the stuff, bare minimum product. Hey, I'm going to take you a Warzone map, we're going to throw some zombies on it, we're going to make it a little interesting, and we might throw in some interesting ideas that we might use later, but we're going to hold back all of our new stuff, and we're just going to give you these old things. So that's exactly what I would do, and so that's exactly what I'm hoping is going on with, well, Vanguard and Modern Warfare Zombies. All of this being said, we have had, like I said earlier, we've had like all of a paragraph's worth of information about Modern Warfare Zombies, and it's sometimes it can be really discouraging to be in the zombies community at times. It's really cool to see how passionate we are as a community about what we like and what we don't like and what we want from zombies. But at the other time, I feel like we can get very easily hive-mindy and we can very easily discredit facts and dismiss things without really being open-minded to them. I loved and still love Black Ops 4 Zombies, so much so. And being a part of the community in that time, while I loved Black Ops 4 and was playing Black Ops 4 and everybody was just trashing on it, I mean, obviously it's a video game. I can have fun with it, whatever, screw you guys, I'm going to have fun with the video game. But trying to create content, trying to engage with the community was just like an uphill battle of like, no, this is actually really fun. Hey, have you thought about it this way? And it's really difficult to have. One of the main reasons that I love my channel, I love you beautiful people, is because I feel like we've established such a good culture on this channel of discussion and specificity of, well, when you look at it this way, but when this mechanic does this, it's a very really reasonable place to be. And so I hope to continue that here with Modern Warfare Zombies. I'm not trying to blindly love and appreciate all of the zombie content. Even I say all the time, Vanguard Zombies should have never been released. It's such a poor bare minimum product. I wish they just saved their resources, but I'm not going to just dog on stuff that I dislike. And if there's something like Vanguard Zombies that really is something that I dislike heavily, I'm going to look at that and try to explain it in a professional and realistic way, as opposed to just going off the handle and just saying, oh, this sucks, I can't believe them, they're this evil corporation, blah, 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 blah. I want to discuss and talk about games because that's what I love to do. And so I hope you all appreciate that. I try to do that my best on this channel. I love my Discord. I love this channel, link in the description. And so I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the professional discourse that we have here. And I hope we can continue that on into Modern Warfare Zombies. So thank you all for being part of this channel. Thank you for watching to the end of the video. And if you liked this video, YouTube thinks you're going to love this video. Be sure to check it out and stay beautiful.